Hello and a jolly good welcome to today's LLM Insights session. Today it's brought to you by Case Western University School of Law and LLM Insights on postgrad.com also. Before I hand you over to Liz, who's going to take you through the next 30 to 40 minutes, just a reminder, this is a live session. So anyone joining or anyone with any questions on social media, please use the chat facility if you're on Zoom. If you're on Facebook or you're on LinkedIn today, please make sure you only use the messenger facility. Don't post on the actual post itself because we won't see it and we'll have to answer your question after the webinar. So I'd like to hand you through to Liz for the time being. Liz, over to you for now, and I'll be back for the Q&A at the end, okay?
My name is Liz Woyczynski. I'm Director of Admissions and Student Services for Global Legal Studies at Case Western Reserve University. We offer a Master of Laws degree, LLM, to international students. And we offer a Doctor of Juridical Science degree, an SJD, to international students as well. And we have about 80 international students from many countries all over the world enrolled in those two programs at this time. I'm going to tell you a bit about our LLM program here in Cleveland, Ohio. I hope you enjoy the presentation. A little bit about our university. We're one of the most respected research universities in the United States. We have a number of different schools within the university, everything from medical school to business school, engineering, etc. And of course, our law school. We have undergraduate and graduate students. And as a research university, our faculty are among the best in terms of scholarship, not in all fields of study, of course, including law. And we have over 1,000 international students on campus from 80 different countries in all these different programs. And we're very highly ranked by these different ranking organizations around the world, including Times Higher Education, Shanghai Ranking, and in the United States, among research universities, we're ranked number 53. The School of Law is very well respected in the United States, as is our LLM program. So our LLM program was just recently recognized as one of the top LLM programs in the United States by a prominent publication called International Jurist. US News and World Report is one of the best ranking organizations in the United States, where we're recognized in international law, health law, environmental law as offering top programs. And Pre-Law Magazine ranks our programs in business law, international law, IP law, environmental law, criminal and health laws being really top flight. And all of those areas are areas in which our LLM students can specialize through our different degree programs. I talked a little bit about scholarship at a research university in particular. And our law school national ranking is 36. So that means the publications of our law school professors are cited by prominent courts in the United States and by other scholars as illuminating bits of scholarship that other people are building off of. This shows our top standing in international law, among some other terrific law schools in the United States. So we're talking about our LLM degree programs, and we have 4 different LLM degrees. The best one for a general sort of concentration is US and Global Legal Studies. That's our general degree. And it's it allows the most flexibility for students. So students come in and they take our 3 required classes for all LLM students. And after those 3 classes worth 8 credits, students can take pretty much any classes that they want at the law school. And so this LLM in US and Global Legal Studies is a great degree for students who want to sit for a US bar exam, because you can complete the requirements to qualify for a bar exam and take classes in as many bar tested subjects as you want, preparing you to do well and pass the bar exam. The other option, if you are not interested in a US bar exam, might be to get like a minor, or we call it a 10 credit concentration, within the 24 credit LLM degree. So we have LLMs who do concentration in compliance or health law or public international law, bankruptcy, etc. So your transcript would say an LLM degree in US and Global Legal Studies with a concentration in XYZ. And we put together those concentrations in pretty much any topic that you would like to specialize in. So we'll put together 10 credits in an area that might be of interest to you, and that can be part of your degree program. So the next degree listed here is International Business Law. It's probably our most popular LLM degree. Those 3 LLM classes that are required of everyone are just seminar, Introduction to US Law, Legal Writing, and Contract Law is a great introduction to common law. And then in the Master of International Laws in International Business Law, you take business associations, and then the rest of the classes are all in business law. So all of the 24 credits required of the LLM degree are in that particular field of study. And we have dozens of different classes that you can pursue in international business law to pick from as electives after you take that one required class in business associations. We also have the Master of Laws in Intellectual Property Law. So students are required to take copyright, trademark, and patent law. And then there are a variety of different electives that you can choose, like law in the music industry, or sports law, or patent prosecution, that kind of thing. Our Master of Laws in International Criminal Law is a wonderful program of study. Again, we have some very well qualified professors teaching classes in international criminal law, a very interesting program of study. And in the second semester of that program, students can apply for an externship in different international organizations, like in The Hague or other places in the world, where you might be able to do an externship in your second semester. So I mentioned also that we have this other degree program for international students called the Doctor of Juridical Science degree. And people who are admitted to that degree program must have an LLM degree, if from our law school or from another US law school or one in the United Kingdom, any common law country. So that's a research degree. It's often pursued by students who want to teach when they return to their home countries. They want to be law school professors, or maybe they want to work at the highest levels of government in their country. So it's a minimum number of classes, and really you have a faculty advisor who helps you concentrate on a specific subject. And you do a lot of research and writing over the next 3 years to get your SJD degree. Some of our LLMs start with the LLM degree and then with the aim of getting into a JD program. So some of the credits from the LLM program can transfer to the JD degree. not enough more really to get more than a semester's worth of credit. Your grades have to be top-notch for them to transfer. But certainly once students have spent a year in LLM, they add those good grades that they've earned in the LLM program to their LSAT score, which we still require of our LLM students. And it strengthens their application for a JD degree. And of course, the JD degree is the first degree in law in the United States, preparing students to pass a bar exam and to practice law. But as I said, as far as bar exams go, that's also an option for people who have undergraduate degrees in law and pursue our LLM in US and global legal studies. They can take a US bar exam too. So different benefits of being in our LLM degree program. We're one of the oldest LLM degree programs for international students in the United States. We've been doing it for about 30 years. And we have a lot of different LLM alumni, over 1,560 different countries. And we use that alumni network to help students connect with our alumni who are very willing to mentor our LLM students for careers in the United States or careers in their home country. So we have a very dynamic law community in Cleveland. So there's several professional associations that our LLM students are invited to participate in, like the Greater Cleveland International Lawyers Group, the international section of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, and our Greater Cleveland Chinese Chamber of Commerce. So these are events in Cleveland where you can meet people who are doing international business transactions or practicing international law, and you can learn from them, and you might connect with them for possible internship or externship opportunities while you're here. We've talked a little bit about a US bar exam. Of course, mastering the English language is a skill you have to demonstrate a bit before the LLM, but of course during your LLM, that mastery of English language becomes a lifelong skill set that you can use no matter where your career takes you. We do have these externships that are most easily available after 2 semesters of LLM. So we work to help students get placed in those kinds of externship opportunities in the summer after they graduate or in a 3rd semester. So we provide a lot of support services for our international LLMs. We really respect the journey that students take to study law in another country with another legal system in a 2nd or 3rd language. So we continue to develop students' English skills with group tutoring that we provide at the law school. We also have individual spoken English language tutoring provided by the General University outside the law school for all of our, 1,000+ international students here. We have JD and SJD students who have excelled in classes that they've taken already at the law school, and we hire them as tutors for LLM students. We match our international LLM students with JD students who serve as mentors about how to succeed in an American legal classroom. It's different than it might be what students have experienced at home, and also just how to enjoy all the resources that are available on a US university campus and in our wonderful city, Cleveland. There's a lot of great things to enjoy. We always tell our students you're going to get a great education, but a lot of the things that you're going to remember and value most about your experience are things that you're going to do outside the classroom. And we want that to be a very rich part of your experience here in Cleveland and what you take away with you, not only for your career, but for the enjoyment of the rest of your life. So we also take students to the U.S. Federal Courthouse here in Cleveland to watch the proceedings. And we have a wonderful judge who meets with our international LLMs before and after the court proceedings to explain what's going on and to talk more about his career. So a little bit about bar exams. If you have an official license to practice law in your country, you can take the California bar exam. If you have an undergraduate degree, you can sit for the New York bar exam, an undergraduate degree in law. And then we add the CWRU LLM degree, and I help students sign up for the required classes, and they can sit for a New York bar exam. If you don't have an undergraduate degree, in law, you can still be admitted to our LLM degree program. We have a small number of students every year who come with backgrounds other than those in law. For instance, somebody with a degree in finance might want to get an LLM in international business law, or someone with a degree in science or engineering might want to get an LLM in intellectual property law. Those students cannot sit for a U.S. bar exam if they don't have an official license to practice law in their home country, or they don't have an undergraduate degree in law. But for them, getting a JD degree would be after their LLM would be a great the means to qualify for a U.S. bar exam. So we talked about the SJD degree already. We have externships for students in the summer after they graduate. And we also have a way of providing remote legal internships too during students' studies here. So perhaps in your second semester, we can place you in a remote internship opportunity with employers all over the world. So we spoke earlier about 1,500 alumni from our LLM program, and these are just some of the most outstanding alumni from different countries. This gentleman serves in the highest level of government in Canada. This gentleman has been recognized, by the Indian Bar Association. He's a partner at Baker McKenzie, a top international law firm. And she's a corporate counsel at Siemens China, another one of our LLM alums. So just so that you know a little bit about where we're located, we're in, as I said, Cleveland, Ohio. We're on the Great Lakes, which is one of the world's biggest sources of fresh water in the world. And Lake Erie is very picturesque. I'll show you some pictures of that in a minute. But Cleveland, Ohio, you can see is in a day's drive from Chicago down to DC, to New York, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, etc. It's in a very wonderful location to get to many interesting places in the United States. This is a picture of Cleveland from our campus. So you can see the downtown skyscrapers, and you can even see the lake there on the horizon. The lake is so big, it seems like an ocean as you stand on the shores. So we're on the very east side of Cleveland. The neighborhood where we're located is called University Circle. For Case Western Reserve, there is a School of Art, and there's also a School of Music here within this park, in addition to Case Western Reserve. But some of the other most illustrious institutions are the museums that I'll talk about in just a minute. But you can see here on the left, our business school, designed by Frank Gehry, has that awesome twisted roof. And the green roofed building there on the right is our law school. So you can see, although we're located in Cleveland, this University Circle Park is green and quiet and a lovely campus to walk around. And again, so downtown is only a 10-minute drive. We have a wonderful public transit system here that we call the RTA. So the red line goes from campus to downtown Cleveland and then ends on the city's west side at the airport. Students actually get a pass at the beginning of each semester to get, so they don't have to pay for public transportation for all bus and train routes throughout the city. So that gives you an overview of our campus. This is again an overview of the campus. You can see Wade Lagoon there in front of the art museum, and you can get the sense of the circle there around which all these cultural institutions are located. Cleveland is considered one of the most concentrated and best resourced cultural hubs in the United States. These are some of the things that you can enjoy in Cleveland and in University Circle. Our students there are seated in front of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Rock and roll and its term and the music of rock and roll really were started in many ways in Cleveland, and the country's Museum of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is located in Cleveland for that reason. It's a beautiful building designed by I.M. Pei right on Lake Erie. So there are wonderful restaurants and these blocked off streets where you can stroll and enjoy restaurants and bars and coffee shops, etc. There are a number of beautiful beaches along Lake Erie. This one is the one downtown called Edgewater. And yeah, there's all kinds of boating activities and walking paths and ways to enjoy the lake from the beach or in the water. Down in the lower left-hand corner is a picture of the art museum. And Cleveland Museum of Art is considered one of the top art museums in the country. And one of its important features is that it's free. So you can walk in and out of the Cleveland Museum of Art at any time. So you can see one of Monet's water lilies that belongs to the art museum and many other very famous paintings and collections by famous artists. And it's a wonderful resource that's really truly right across the street from the law school. So students can walk over there and enjoy the cafe or walk around for a study break. Also right across the street is the Botanical Gardens. You can see in there the greenhouse where they have the indoor gardens from a rainforest and a Madagascar kind of desert landscape. And again, a lovely place to have lunch and the outdoor gardens. Severance Hall, the inside of that is also, just a 3-minute walk from the law school. So Severance Hall is a beautiful, beautiful concert hall, and Cleveland Museum and the Cleveland Orchestra is considered again to be one of the strongest in the United States. So that's always a feature of any LLM's experience here, is going to a classical music concert with the Cleveland Orchestra. We've had pianists like from different countries come and perform, and our students always enjoy seeing those familiar names that are world famous from their home country. And students get highly discounted tickets. This is a little bit about our admission requirements. So we do have intake for our LLM degree program twice a year. So students can start in the spring semester, which starts in January, or they can start in the fall semester, which starts in August. So the deadlines are October 15th and April 1st for those semesters. We have an online application with no application fee, and students can apply there as soon as they're ready to upload their credentials. We evaluate the applications on a rolling basis. So you will get an admission decision within a week of completing your application at any time of year. So we require that you upload your transcript, a personal statement, and 2 letters of recommendation with your application. And we use the application to award scholarships. So we have a 20% tuition scholarship that's awarded on the basis of your TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo scores. And for geographic diversity, we have a 40% tuition scholarship from countries where we don't have as many enrolled students. So we encourage you to apply and to stay in touch with us. For students who come from countries where they're not educated in English, we do have an affiliated school, ELS Language Center, and ELS has a campus, a school right on our Case Western Reserve campus. So students can attend these English language classes, again, just a short walk from the law school. And we offer conditional admissions to those students who apply through ELS. And we tell students that if you graduate from ELS and you finish their level 111 or 112, then we take that, having passed that level, instead of a TOEFL, an IELTS, or a Duolingo score. So we have multiple ways that you can meet the English language requirements through conditional admission or through submission of at least those minimum level test scores. Those minimum level test scores require that you attend one of our summer programs called the Summer Language and Law Institute. And that's a 3-week class that you can take before classes start in August. And it's a great way to get an introduction to how to read and analyze and summarize case law before you start classes. And of course, the English language tests are not required of applicants who come from countries where the language of instruction is English. So that covers a little bit about our admissions process. And these are our recent graduates on the steps of Severance Hall, where the Cleveland Orchestra performs, ready for their graduation ceremony. Again, my name is Liz Woyczynski. I'm Director of Admissions and Student Services, managing the LLM and SJD programs. And you can contact me and those who work in our office at LLM-SJD@case.edu. And yeah, we're great at getting back to students immediately as soon as they inquire. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for your time, and we look forward to getting your applications for admission. Thanks.
Thank you, Liz. Always great to hear all different academics, admissions teams' thoughts on their own law schools and their own LLM programs. So no different, always good to hear. A few questions to come in. I want to start personally with something that I would be keen to find out. You mentioned Cleveland, Ohio. It really does looks a wonderful place to live and to study as well. How important is that when it comes to, you haven't got the same hustle and bustle as DC, New York, even on the west coast of Los Angeles and Chicago even. It must have such an importance on students' livelihoods and their social life that although it's still a big city and a big feel, it doesn't have that same chaotic feel to it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to introduce Cleveland. It's a medium-sized city with premier cultural institutions, but much less traffic. It's much easier to drive around the city, but you don't even have to drive because we have good public transportation on the rapid transit trains and through our bus systems. And yeah, it's very easy. Having grown up on the East Coast and having traveled with my family to other cities nearby, just to have Severance Hall and the Art Museum just within, a 10-minute, 15-minute drive from where I lived and across the street from where I work. It's just wonderful. And I love outdoor activities. So I love hiking near the lake and our Cleveland Metro parks that circle the city. Of course, north is the lake, but we call it the Emerald Necklace that goes around from Cleveland's west side to east side. And you can literally bike or hike for dozens of miles around the city through these wonderful metro parks. And one of the nation's most visited national parks is a half-hour south of Cleveland called the Cuyahoga Valley National Recreation Area. And so outdoor activities are wonderful too, not just city activities. The cost of living is less expensive. So students find apartments more easily. There's a neighborhood called Little Italy that's just a 5-minute walk from the law school. And it's a neighborhood where Italian immigrants and stonecutters settled maybe 100 years ago, and it's still populated by second and third generation people, family members in that community, and lots of students, lots of great restaurants and coffee shops and gelato places. And so I don't know, it's just a great place to live and go to school.
Course. And I want to touch upon, I mean, the visa requirements for international students are so stringent, and that, there's nothing you can do to fast track it sometimes and to do these things. It's my understanding that typically 30 days before your course starts is when your visa F1 application will go through, and you can come to the USA and you can settle in and relax. You mentioned your summer course that you've got. Does that factor in the visa requirements? So you could say you're beginning your course, let's say, a month before, so therefore you could come 2 months before. Is that right?
Correct. So the Summer Language and Law Institute starts usually the second week of July. So that is the start date on your I-20, not the first day of classes of the fall semester, which would be at the end of August. So yeah, so if you're starting the Summer Language and Law Institute the second week in July, you would be allowed to enter the US 4 weeks before that time. And one of the advantages of that summer program is that it gives students time to settle in, not only to their classes and this introduction to common law and how to read cases, but also settling into Cleveland, getting all their utilities set up in their apartments and learning the neighborhood and the city. And they're very ready to go at the start of classes at the end of August.
Okay. And tell me what the Case Western look for in a personal statement. What are they most interested in? So there's a lot of people, a lot of law schools that say they're looking in particular for the intelligence when it comes to the academic side of things. There's some law schools that say that's kind of secondary. We care about who they are and what they're interested in, and are they the right fit? What is it? Presumably, there's a nice blend there, of course. They need the grades. But ultimately, what are you guys looking for when it comes to the resume and personal statement?
Right. In the personal statement, I would say we would lean more towards understanding the student's motivation for an LLM degree and what brings them at this point in their life to be interested in an LLM degree, and what their sights are for what they want to accomplish after getting an LLM degree. I think getting a sense of that student's internal motivation and enthusiasm for the journey ahead. The LLM degree is just 2 semesters and you have to fit a lot in. And it's not an easy program of study to come to a new country and study law. So what motivates you, and what do you bring to your LLM experience. I think talking about those things is the best way to enhance your application. And I always think it's best for students to give examples of, how they've displayed curiosity or ambition academically, focus in their other endeavors, whether it be in school or some outside interests that they've pursued, and showing that, they have, the moxie to take on an LLM degree.
And presumably, one of the most popular areas of all LMs is taking their US bar exam, wherever they might take it. And presumably, of all the courses that you guys offer, the US legal studies LLM program you offer most likely is going to interest that type of student most.
Mhm.
What would you say to those students? Because there's loads of different bar exams they can take, New York, California being obviously two of the most popular ones. Does it matter? Does it matter what they're most interested in? Or, if they've got one, it will kind of apply to all. Is there a huge difference? And can they therefore use the studies that they've got with you guys to then go on and do that bar exam?
Right. So the bar exam is increasingly becoming almost universal among
Yeah.
states. So for many years, each each state gave its own bar exam, but now most states have signed on to the same bar exam. So the kind of bar exam that you take is going to be very similar from state to state to state. So what remains different is how the states set qualifications for you to qualify with your LLM degree. So that's something that you have to be sensitive to, and that's something that you should be looking into if you're interested in a US bar exam. Everything that you need to know about qualifying for a US bar exam with foreign legal credentials, your undergraduate law degree, they're all posted for each of the states online. And any LLM administrator like myself at any law school should be able to tell you what the requirements are, certainly in the most popular states or any state that you might be interested in. So really, if you're going to practice federal law, like immigration law, it really doesn't matter which bar exam you take and pass, because you can practice that area of law regardless. If you're going to get into other forms of legal practice, then passing that bar exam and getting admitted to the bar, let's say in New York, allows you to practice law in New York. So the thing to think about is really where you might like to establish your legal career in the United States. Of course, once you pass that bar exam and you practice law in that area for a certain period of time defined by each state, then you can transfer your license to another state. So it doesn't limit you forever, but it is an important segue to practicing law initially after you pass your bar exam. So your interest in where you want to live would be a factor to take into consideration.
And it's interesting at the start of that, you mentioned about how the bar exam's becoming universal in the USA. One of the other things, of course, that's becoming global is criminal law. Obviously, we see the tragic circumstances that are going on all over the world in various different nations and countries with the wars happening. And it's becoming an extremely popular topic in terms of, I think nowadays there's more coverage, there's more openness, and people are more willing to go down that route. And I think you guys having offering one of those programs is really key. Talk to me about the actual offering itself and the class sizes, because people are obviously have different strengths and weaknesses. And one of them might be that they work well in a smaller team. How big are your classes, and are they deliberately positioned in that way?
Yeah, so we have a medium-sized JD population, and we have about 40 LLM students at this point. So I'd say that our classes are very well-sized. There are a few classes that will have 3 to 5 students in them. But I would say our required LLM classes this year have about 25 students in them, and that's perfect for discussion and two-way conversations between students and faculty members, which is, you know, a very important part of the American legal classroom experience. And certainly, although it can be nerve-wracking for even our US students to be involved in those in-class discussions with faculty members, it's just so important for international students to engage in that kind of discourse in class, because it's going to make them stronger advocates when they finish their studies and go for a US bar exam, etc. So yeah, those classes, I would say our business law classes tend to be the largest, but those in international criminal law and IP law, etc., tend to be even smaller. So, but even the large size classrooms are not gigantic. You know,
Okay.
they might have 50 students in them.
And of the percentage of the amount of students you've got, how many of them are international? Where would you, I think what's really important to remember for international students watching this is people will think, oh, it's a nerve-wracking time, it's anxious. We have it more difficult than the students from the USA. Important to note that if you're from Mexico, you're traveling just as far as a student from Florida, which is in the States. So it can be nerve-wracking. So in some ways, it sounds strange, but there's a lot of foreign people in one room. So what is your breakdown in terms of international to the US students? Is there a strong amount of nationalities that are non-US,
Uh,
roughly?
Strong, yeah. So we have, you know, a wide range of countries that are represented in our LLM degree program. But it's a small enough population so that students are mixing already with within the 3 required LLM only classes with students from all over the world. So that's a great introduction to, you know, future colleagues who will be practicing law around the world. But after those 3 required classes of all LLM students, most of our LLM students are taking classes with American JD students. So within that population, I would say probably about 20% of our 15%, 15 to 20% of our students are international in the entire law school community. So I think that's a good, healthy representation, enough so that international students don't feel alone. They have the company of other students who are also learning about the US legal system, but also great ways to mix with American JD students who are also going to be part of their professional network when they graduate. And I talked a little bit about the services that we provide for international students through our Coffee and Culture program, where we introduce people for just introductory conversations, but also through tutoring and mentoring. What relationships, many just happen in the classroom, but we also facilitate those outside the classroom.
Excellent. And finally, just to wrap up as well, we'd love to go on and talk all day, but we don't want the students to disappear, especially on social media. So, in terms of applications, admission stages, how long can a student expect the process to take? And likewise, when are your intake dates primarily?
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we pride ourselves on is, you know, is corresponding with inquiries immediately. So anyone who can email us at the email address that still shows on the screen, llm-sjd@case.edu, you'll get an answer immediately. Students apply online without an application fee, and as soon as the application's complete, with the application, the transcript, the letters of recommendation, and the test scores, you'll get an admission decision within a week. So we can do that for students at any time of year, especially those that are applying for conditional admission. They need time to then meet the English language requirements. So they may be applying a full year in advance so that then they can enroll at the English language school to graduate from that school instead of providing TOEFL or IELTS or Duolingo. So intake is year round. Intake is when you're ready, and we're there to meet you.
I think that's great. I think that so many law schools stifle you into a certain month, and to hear that is so important. Flexibility and just allows people with different circumstances, of course, to apply when they want. Liz, thank you for your time. I really appreciate that. It's been a great session. We look forward to seeing you again in 2025. And if anyone has any questions, like Liz mentioned, LLM-SJD at case.edu is where to head over. Everyone that has registered for this session, you will receive a copy of this video. If you are watching on social media and you haven't registered, it will pop up on our Facebook channel. So hop over to Postgrad Solutions.